new law, because this after beginning December evening, a lot of this unofficial sects like Wahhabis or Salafists or Hezbollah came to Kazakhstan, and some of these people included, and some this terror happened in Kazakhstan. After that, they banned hijab. I want to give only one suggestion. The state should support practicing Muslims, because most of them is moderate Islam. It's about the ban of hijab in public, private schools, universities, even government service. Such a policy can aggravate society. As a result, Muslim parents and school girls themselves may feel enormous injustice and hopelessness. In this situation, may push them closer to radicals. Also,
actually, yeah, thank you so much. Actually, we are out of time. We have to end actually system presentation. Just I will give 1 or 2 minutes for any questions related to such things. Any participants want to ask?
About this discriminate school girls wearing hijab, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Any what?
No, actually, we don't have a question. Just if you want to conclude in 1 minute, and I will comment. Because actually we are out of time. Yes, Mr. Anas, 1 minute more.
Oh, okay. Kazakhstan is secular state, and we have this muftiyat, the function muftiyat, the bridge between government and Islam. Before we have like fiddling with performing wearing the hijab. I want to only say about this hijab wearing at the school. Because people adopted wearing hijab, young schoolgirls with hijab study at government school and private school. But now they have this problem. And we asking the government help us, because symbol of hijab is not symbol of terrorism.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Actually, this becomes very common among minorities around the world. Muslim minorities around the world. But actually, Mr. Anna, I will comment for 1 minute. How can we handle such issues? What do we need to make such things, visible? We need actually what we call as empirical studies. How can we listen from participants themselves, teenagers who suffer from such issues? So if we can find, for example, empirical study, if we can conduct an empirical study and let us to listen from their voices, this is a great job comes from to deliver how much do they suffer, and you will do a great job, as I mentioned, once you provide us with such missing knowledge. Thank you so much, inshallah, and we hope we can find also you will pay us with us, inshallah, to show such knowledge. Thank you so much. And let us to go now to our third presenter, our Ibrahim Qatar from India. And we are very lucky to find many participants, respected professors, doctors, colleagues, participants coming from different areas. As we see from USA, now from Kazakhstan, from Iran, and another, especially brother Ibrahim from India. And brother Ibrahim will very valuable also paper related to Islamophobia, verifying perception of American Muslims and specifically conservative Turkish Muslims against American and vice versa. And this is actually now the disease around the world. So let us to welcome our brother Ibrahim and listen and learn from his ideas. welcome Brother Ibrahim. Ibrahim, you.
First of all, I'm not from India. I'm not from India.
Actually, they chose from you are from India.
No, I'm from Turkey.
You are most welcome.
My language. Okay. In this study, I compared the views of Turkish leaders with other movements in America, and I want to learn whether there is a difference between the views of Turkish leaders and other movements. And I also made a small survey and compared with other general surveys made by peer research centers, and others. I think they sent 5 questions and sent to some people in America that mean Turks. They are Turks, all are Turks. And they distributed these questions to other people. And then I did answers and prepared my survey. Beginning with the details about the migrants in America. First migrants came to America as slaves in 16th, 17th, 18th century. And between 10 and 30% of these slaves were migrants. But it means that in the course of time they lost their identity, their religion. So, and between the 20th century, there were no slaves anymore. The second migration wave came during the Ottoman Empire in the 19th century. Actually, in recent students of the Ottoman Empire emigrated to the US. There were also some migrants, almost 5% of them were migrants among 305,000 cities. We went back to find a better job to live in better lifestyle standards, etc. But most of these Turks returned back to Turkey because they were living as singles and living around in America. So they came back. Maybe 85% of them still were in the first half of the 20th century. Then Turks, as students of Turkey, went to America, and at the moment there are 300,000 Turks living in the US. In general, the total number of users is projected to be 2.5 million in America, but my anticipation is that this number may be higher, maybe 8 or 9 million. Among all the small groups, as you know, users are one of the most attractive communities because of racism and xenophobia. Particularly from 1990s onwards, increased because of our line of agreement administration. In 1990s, it was due to the effects of apartheid. And when September 11 attacks happened, attacking users and wages against users increased dramatically. After that, use of Americans and use of users against each other changed. For example, in 2011, 40% of Americans say users are satisfied by.
Can I explain you for one moment? Actually, I'm very eager to listen to your results. Actually, you mentioned from the response by used in USA. And I'm very actually eager to listen on the results. because actually the time is very limited. I really very interested find it before the time. Yeah, please.
Let me go to my survey slide. For example, in my survey, there's two persons said almost 73% of respondents say they feel discriminated in America. And this is one time with general by other big health companies. I also ask their views. That means you for the first time will always approach with suspicion and superstition, not the views, your name, and realize that you are losing. And they judge you in a different standard. Another one says, when people hear your name, their behavior automatically change. They also what race are fluid, for not possible to take as good. In some way, some people were observing whether they were valued or not.
Kita buat soal semuanya ada kencang.
This is true for Turks, but there's a reason for that. Most of Turks are planning to return back to Turkey. They have no, only 10% say they will not return Turkey, while 50% say they are in between the decision whether to come back or not. On the other hand, Turks are not hostile to the US for the answers they gave. 30% say that they favor America, while the rest confess their dislike about the country. They mainly complain about the policies of America rather than America as a country. Also, they say that they are discriminated, particularly by white supremacists. 72% say answered as white supremacists are the most people that have prejudice against Muslims. Then comes Jews with 27%. These results are compatible with other polls also. Because in other polls it says 60% of white supremacists do not favor Muslims. Let me find other results also.
Thank you, Brother Ibrahim. Actually, very interesting study, especially empirical study. This is what I understand. Am I right? It's a kind of a quantitative research study. Just I want to open the Am I right? Can I ask you about the sample? The size of the sample?
Size more than 100.
Or 100?
170 or something like that. Yeah.
Before I comment, just if anyone wants to ask Brother Ibrahim, anyone wants to share, anyone wants to ask. Because actually this is a kind of empirical study which is very important to see the results. Any questions, please? Okay, Brother Ibrahim, can you just give me 1 or 2 minutes if you have the opposite perception? How do Kurdish people look to that society? Do you include such idea in your study? Or just from one side? Now,
You mean
yes. How do Kurdish people
who is that?
to that society? Do have the
To American society? They are the same as other Muslims, this is certain. problem about that. But Turks, like other leaders, they also differentiate between America and American. US and Israel, for example. Also, the views of Turks living in America and living in Turkey is quite different. For example, only 20% of Turks living in Turkey favor America, while 70% of Turks living in Turkey living in America favor American state or American country. I don't know whether I understood your question, but what does your
we hope to find your paper with us. We hope to find such empirical paper. And I think once you share with us, the ideas become more clearer. Actually, once we come for a presentation for 10 minutes, I understand. It's not enough to understand all the dimensions. But once you come with this kind of sharp writing, we will become very happy to receive your paper and see results. And if we have this kind of, for example, notification, we will share to other people due to such useful knowledge. Thank you so much. We are very glad to be with us today, and inshallah we will become more happy if you share with us your paper. Thank you so much. We are very happy to be with us today.
Inshallah, I will share it with you. It's ready. That's ready. And I will send it.
Thank you. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum. We will go for the fourth participant. Yes, we will go inshallah with our respected, our Prof from Indonesia. Most welcome, Prof Aman.
Yes.
I'm very glad to be we are very happy to see you with us today.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Let me introduce you, or you are going directly to introduce yourself. Up to you.
Yes, I want to show my presentation here, I think.
Yeah.
If it is possible.
Just continue.
Is it okay?
We will handle your presentation. Don't worry. Yes, your presentation now on the screen.
Yes, my presentation. What do you think if I show from my laptop, you see? Is it okay? Can you make me as a host here?
Yes. You can share that.
Okay, this one.
Yeah, you can share that.
Okay. Is it apparent now?
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks so much for all, especially for moderator. It's very, very kindly, I think. And nice to meet you all in this time. And as I said, this is the first time to join international conference. So you have to guide me how to give the best way, I think, in this opportunity. I would like to present about my paper, simple paper, I think, about Islamic political sociology education in the reconstruction of Madinah civilization model from the perspective of the Quran, especially based on Surah Al-Baqarah. Abstract, we find the stigma like Islamophobia in our country about religion is the enemy of Pancasila. Pancasila, you can understand about the 5 principles of the state of Indonesia. This is very, very fundamental in our country. And also the statement about Khilafah and Jihad as source of radicalism is the fact of intellectual cognitive crisis, of emotional also. It is about affective crisis as well as behavioral psychomotor crisis, problems of a social political phenomenon that leads to a civilizational crisis. It is indicated that educational problems are the source of the social and political phenomena. This research aims this paper aims and focus on analysis to formulate the answer to the problem formulation. The research finally concludes in a finding, namely the formulation of the concept of Islamic political sociology education in reconstruction of the Madinah civilization model. Introduction. One of the milestones in the history of the contribution of Islam when Indonesia was almost torn apart by secular egos and exploitation of the form of state as terrorists. United States of Indonesia about the period 50s, I think. United States of Indonesia was Muhammad Nasir's integral motion. These ideas and struggles have succeeded in reconstructing national unity in the unitary state of the Republic of Indonesia. This historical phenomenon demonstrates the success of Islam in educating and delivering quality outcomes, namely statesmen, visionaries, and initiators of the formation of nation and state, such as Nasir. Nasir is the Prime Minister in period September 1950 to March 1951, who were always ready to sacrifice whenever needed. Secularization and liberalization that seek to keep Islam religion away from social and political life is another effort and struggle of a group of people who are increasingly phenomenal and very political to negate this role of Islam. The stigma as presented as an abstract is the fate of educational problems, intellectual, emotional, and behavioral lead to civilizational crisis. The research used the research method of library, philosophical approach, the science, ontological, epistemological, and axiological is the format used to describe the concept of Islamic political sociological education. Through the library research and tadabburi is about contemplation. I think this is the term in tafsir. Thematic, okay. Thematic interpretation approach. The research is focused on the study on the Quran Surah Al-Baqarah. Historical evidence recognizes this surah is the blueprint of the formation of the nation, namely the people of the Messenger ﷺ in Medina Munawwara, which survives until now as a reference model of civil society. In discussion, I find about the structure of Surah Al-Baqarah and the building of constructional surah describe the form of the role and function of man in life. And Khalifa, our life manager, and all its facilities on earth, which includes personality at the level of individuals and civilization at the socio-political level. The picture of the building consists of various dimensions of life as a result of social interaction between one individual or group with another, thus forming socio-economic, political, and educational relationships which interactively form culture and civilization. And this is the picture maybe can describe more clear about this building of Surah Al-Baqarah. Al-Baqarah, the core content of Al-Baqarah is about amanah. Amanah is about delegation from the God, from the Creator, to obey Him and to manage this earth, I think. In Surah Al-Baqarah we can find three dimensions, very, very fundamental. Firstly, is about foundation. You can find about arkanul iman and ideological typology of society, and this is the building. About the structure consists of about Shumaliyatul Islam and Sharia, Da'wah, integrity of Islam, Da'wah and Hisbah, Taqafa and Hadara, culture and also civilization. Primary about Arkan Islam, secondary about Muamalah and living system like family, social, education, economy and politics. Tertiary about Tasawwuf, ethics, adab and moral and ethics. And also the third, very, very important, the structure need to protect, to protection, I think. The protective rule to protect the building of Ummah, the building of Islam, the building of civilization is about Khilafah, about the leadership, state, and also civilization. How to protect this religion and also to manage the dunya or to manage the earth, I think. Yeah, and we find in this point about Amar bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, constitution and legislation, like what Rasulullah SAW did and made about the first written constitution in the world, like Fiaga Madinah or Wathiqah al-Madinah, and also about law. This is very important to protect the civilization and Ummah, civil, and about criminal, and also about jihad from the side, military side. This is what what I find from the structure of Surah Al-Baqarah. And this find also is very, very important to find the model of Ummah. The model of Ummah is about Ummatan Wasata. Ummatan Wasata, from this idea we can gain about modernity in Islam. This is, I think, to describe the kinds about foundation. We can find it from verse first and 2 to 20. Yeah, like faith in Allah, faith in angel, faith in the books, faith in the messenger of God, faith in the last day, faith in the Qadr and Qadr also, and about ideological typology of society, about muttaqin, about who they ignore the truths from the God, and also about munafiqun. And this is about the Sharia, the structure, Bina al-Ummah, Ijtimaiyah, about sociology, Shumuliyah Islam, also about integrality of Islam, the primary, secondary, and tertiary. And this is what I said about the mu'ayyidat to protect the building of civilization. Conclusion, the model of civil society mentioned at Surah Al-Baqarah is the model and supremacy of modern Muslim society and faith. Ummatan Wasata, or the just nation. Verses from 143 to 150, namely the society positioned as the pivot, center, and a reference of other societies and nations because of its superiority in various structural dimensions of civilization, social, economic, cultural, educational, and also political. The transition of Qiblat, for example, was the transitional momentum of civilization and humanity with all its dimensions, from the children of Israel to the more universal new nation, the people of Medina, of the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him. The new society was not built on tribal, ethnic, but on the basis of fanaticism, asabiya, referring to Ibn Khaldun's terminology, which was positive in the form of ideology and the human rescue mission. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
You are from sociology department, am I right?
Yeah.
Also, the person who's talking with you now comes from sociology department.
No, I'm from educational department. I'm a student at doctoral program at University of Holden, Bogor.
And actually, whatever ideas you deliver today,
Yeah. About sociological?
come with the same philosophy of IIUM. This is the beauty to find different scholars around the world come with different ideas. The same thing, the same line when it comes to talk about wasatiyya, khilafa, amana. All these are very important concepts, and I hope we can invite you more and more. And hopefully we can find you favor to spread such knowledge. I'm very happy to hear all such and many from you. I'm very happy. And I will give also 1 or 2 minutes for participants if there is any question we want to ask our scholar, because not every day we will find a valuable scholar like you. Please, if any question, please ask.
It's okay, inshallah. Maybe it can be described in my paper, I think, inshallah, for more explanation. In this short time, it's impossible to describe more information about this diagram or about this picture. I think this picture also, this is my finding from this research, brother.
It's our pleasure to receive your paper and learn from you. You have a great knowledge. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And
You're welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Kindly present. Okay, thank you, sir.
Can meet you again and again.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Inshallah, we will go to our new presenter. Our new presenter comes from Turkey also. Sister Isra Thomas is looking for also a very nice topic which is related to women. And actually this kind of topic relates what we call as variety in our topic. Are you with us, Sister Isra? Sister Isra, are you with us? Please, if you can answer me.
Yes, sir. I think there are two more presentations for me, and I need a few. Yes, in the list there are still few presentations until mine.
Don't worry.
And I need 10 minutes if it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible, sister. It's possible. No problem. Take your time, spare yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. See you in 10 minutes.
Inshallah, no problem. Let us to invite our also a group of researchers coming from Malaysia and also talking about the taboo. And once we come to transgender and how do we come with this kind of division after we engage with such politics? What kind of things actually we want to learn, we want to know, what kind of research. So just I will ask if Sister Nur Diana, are you around us? Are you with us? Nur Diana?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, most welcome Sister Nur Diana, and I can see also Brother Shamsul, Brother Ahmad Nabil, Brother Muhammad Yusuf, a group of researchers. And I saw you actually such a beautiful paper related to gender. And you need such knowledge because it's very hot topic and taboo. We want to learn. So I will let you to answer you such a topic. I will give you the time and the title related to the vision and associated factor among transgender male to female. Am I right?
Yes.
And this is a qualitative study. Am I right?
Yes, it's true.
can you see this?
Yeah, we see. Okay. This one.
Assalamualaikum and good evening to everyone. Actually, I'm presenting. My research regarding factor related to depression among transgender male to female in Kuantan, Pahang. It's a qualitative study. So actually, I'm presenting as this is part of my research thesis actually as a master student. I'm a master student in family medicine in IIUM. Okay. So this is actually my co-researcher. So its introduction is actually transgender is a health neglected issue and it's being underserved and stigmatized. So they are predisposed them to depression and other mental health issues. And the rate of depression is actually as high as 52% in Australia at all 2011. So there are multiple factors that actually associated with depression from the literature. And the reason I'm doing the qualitative study because some of the factor is actually they have no assessment tool that are validated and suitable in Malaysian local population. So that's why I'm conducting a qualitative study. So actually from the literature, there is multiple factors associated, such as the age. Younger age also associated with higher level of depression as well as older population. And less social support is associated with higher risk of depression. And transition status also play a role. And low level of education is actually influence the level of depression and also a history of violence. So the objective of this study is actually to explore the spectrum of depression among transgender male to female in Kuantan, Pahang. So actually as a methodology of this study, it involves a qualitative study among transgender male to female in Kuantan, Pahang. It actually involves 24 respondents in 4 focus group discussion. It used a participatory and semi-structured interview guide as a guide for the interview and used a content analysis for the qualitative analysis. So for the study procedure, it actually involves 4 focus group discussion, which consists of 5 to 7 people in each group. It's conducted in a private isolated room at the FMTRC IIUM. During each interview, it actually involved 2 interviewer and scriber, and the role was seen in the each session to reduce the bias. And it used semi-structured interview type, and it takes around 60 to 90 minutes each session, and it is recorded in an anonymous audio recording. So regarding the result, okay, this is actually the socio-demographic data of the informant. So it involves 4 focus groups. The age range from the 25 to 65, and mostly receive a secondary school education, and most of them is a sex worker. So the factor that emerged from the study is actually there is a 6 factor, which is first the family acceptance and support, second discrimination and prejudice, third is health status, fourth is reduced self-worth, 5 challenge to change, and the last one is substance use. So I will explain more today. So first we go to the first C, which is family acceptance and support. This is actually the most discussed among the transgender during the interview. And the first sub-team is disowned. So they feel that they've been disowned from the family. The quotation is that the family doesn't care about me. I'm an outcast, not their son. It feels like I'm not the son of my own family. The second sub-team is the unknown family tie, because some of them have a full social background. So full family background. So I grew up with a father with my family full academic status, with stress at school and home. So family doesn't care about us. And the last sub-team is a family acceptance. They feel that the family doesn't really accept who they are. So one of the information mentioned that sometimes we try to show a little bit of our true self to others, but it was unacceptable to some people. That's why we never revealed everything and kept it secret as our own. We move on to the most discussed among the transgender, which is the discrimination and prejudice. This is actually experienced by almost all of them, and it occurs among the co-workers. So they be discriminated among the colleagues as well, being underestimated for being who we are. And they also have a problem to find a job. So there are information that there is one time when I applied for a job and I was asked whether I'm a transgender. I was rejected after I honestly admit that I am a transgender. So the next part is discussing reaction from the society. So they feel they're being discriminated from the society. So whenever we went to the shopping mall, they will look at this and discuss and discuss because of our physical appearance. And despite that, they also have improper reaction from the government sector, staff itself, even from the healthcare provider. So one of the information that the healthcare staff are also the same, however not all of them, that look at us to discuss and whisper among themselves about it. So the next theme is a reduced self-worth. So as we know, most of the transgender is actually a sex worker. So being older, they feel that they are reduced self-worth because the market drop as getting older. So when we are getting older, our market value actually as the sex market drops, that can lead to depression. And they feel that they are lacking in self-achievement. So whenever I think of others that have family and children, I'm still like this. Our finance is our day by day, while other people already have career, but for us, transgender only live like this. So this could lead to depression. And the last is because they be discriminated. And they also have an experience of discrimination at the school. You were bullied at school, your school and stupid will be more. So the next theme is a challenge to change, because some of them actually try to change to be better. So they actually even experience depression because of the process itself. Because as you know, some of them, the issue is, subtheme is abstinent, because one of the information that I have known many transgender that has changed to be better, when they change, they look better from the physical appearance but not from his sexual needs. So this actually could lead to depression as well. So besides, they also face the economic by the colleague. And one of the information that we will change, when we change, we receive opposition and criticism from our friends, is because we change to the better, that depression suddenly could lead to depression. So the fifth and sixth is the harassment and substance use. So one of the substance is the HIV infection. As we know that some of them actually practice unsafe sex. So one of them will mention that I met a lot of people with HIV. After being diagnosed with HIV, they end up being depressed. One of the women has a different idea, because he afraid to test for HIV because of confidential issue. So he mentioned that if we want to screen for HIV test, we don't know where to look for medical attention. This is because some of the place can keep it as a confidential, but some of it cannot. So he is afraid of the confidential issue, that this makes him feel depressed. And the last one is the substance use, and substance is a poor coping skill. So one of the informant experienced that after they taking all kind of drugs, they feel depressed. So he mentioned that, as for me, I took all type of drugs except for intravenous drug because I'm afraid of needle. On that time, I'm stressed and in need of something to relieve it. The easiest way to forget everything is to take drugs. Initially, I feel it helped, but later on, it ended up being depressed. So as a discussion, actually, because majority of the information that family support and acceptance is very important, and this lacking of that could lead to depression. And majority of the information actually reported of being discriminated and stigmatized, even from the society and from the healthcare provider itself. So surprisingly, only one of the information regarding the HIV could lead to depression as well. And unity emerged in this study is the challenge to change, which also important. And if we not tackle that, it could lead to depression. So as a conclusion, transgender is a minority group that face a multitude of challenges that might affect their health and emotional well-being. So multiple factors that is associated with depression, such as stigmatization, family support, and also HIV infection. So this is important to educate the healthcare provider to be non-judgmental towards them and provide the service that is friendly and to engage with this community. So limitation in the study, it involved only 24 informants. This the result does not reflect the transgender in the whole faham. This is my reference. Thank you for your attention.
Very nice to meet you. You managed to touch the taboo.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the taboo, and this is actually where can we deny Yes, I come from political background, technology department, and I understand what are you presenting. This is very important once we have organized social initiatives, that means we are going to create healthy society. And once we ignore or close our eyes about such social illnesses, that means we will share this kind of destruction of the society. I like such research so much. And before we continue, let me just share with our colleagues, friends, participants, if there is any question. This issue is very hot and very important, and it is a kind of empirical study. This, if you have any question, ask Sister Diana, and she's the secretary.
I hope I can answer that.
Hopefully we have questions. Anyone wants to share? Anyone wants to ask? Please, if you have any questions, share.
There are questions in the chat box. Can you address them?
Oh, chat box. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you read, Sister Diana? Can you see the question, or should I repeat it? How about transgender? I mean, they look like men who are strong and have muscles, but like men too. There are many, this group also one of LGBT. Can you comment about gays? Because increasing drastically and difficult to identify them. Do you have any answer?
Okay, actually I think yes, it's true, because it's actually quite difficult to engage in this gay group more than the LGBT and transgender, because transgender is, we can see from the physical appearance, but then this MSM group actually we cannot identify from the physical appearance, so it's quite difficult for us. Even for me as a doctor, we have a difficulty to tackle this community. However, I think what is important for us is actually to be non-judgmental and try to engage with this group, because sometimes they are lacking in terms of health accessibility. They are afraid to come to us. So it is important for us to tackle this group actually. For me, I think it is important to be non-judgmental to them.
Eventually, any cultural industry branded as Islamic created a new market for commodities, media, advertising, and business. In this process, the body, especially women's body, becomes one of the most significant of transformation with student positioning trade history, specifically over the issue of health care. This research paper intends to understand the transition of urban Islamic women from marginalized and victimized feminist images to eligible citizens by constructing a new identity with production of a neoliberal subject. By doing this, I am referring to Eva Ong, her theory. Eva Ong claims that neoliberalism has limitations in citizenship and sovereignty. She argues that neoliberalism is more a political optimization, and it replaces the relationship between governance and the governed, power, knowledge, and sovereignty and territoriality. On suggests three arguments to understand how the articulations and calculations between government and citizenship and neoliberal mechanisms and reason are evolving. First, neoliberalism shapes these thinking about the relationship between government and citizenship addressed rigidly juridical legal relationships, which means neoliberal technologies are accepted as a biopolitical mode of governance in which the population is controlled and managed by governance regimes with tools of technologies of subjectivity and technologies of subjection. The second argument takes space from its conceptualization as a political singularity and allows for a measure of sovereignty in terms of both fragments, but it extends the phase of nation state. The third argument is enhancing of new arrangements and territorializing capital, knowledge, and labor across the national boundaries by calculated mechanisms of open markets.
Now I want to mention about the victimization and marginalization era of the women. Turkey was one of the key experiments of modernist reformism, and the early years of the Turkish Republic refers to a construction period that can be considered as the first stage of modernization of the new establishing state. This is an era that's considered in the scope of the term, in that modernization has a far-reaching meaning that is the building of the whole society in every sense. I mean, from urban, rural, social, educational, political, but at most societal transformation. In this rebuilding period, religion was placed as a part of tradition, and it was put as a contradiction to modern. Creation of the enlightened people was the essence of the system, and in this system, the religious people were put as contradictory to modern ones. The aim of secularization of the public and political domain was accompanied by a strong emphasis on transposing genders of amateur, private, and individual faith. The most important thing with these information is the public state has been thoroughly reshaped as a non-religious sphere, and Islam and Islamic style bypassed from the public realm, hence the protection of the public from the intrusion of religion, and thereby the religion and secularizing of the public domain secular nature became the character of the Islamic secularism. This was the marginalization era of the Islamists from the state and the public. However, we cannot call this process as Islamophobia because the state reveals the religion in its own way, and a state religion still under the name of Islam is adopted by the government. When we come to the 1980s, this era corresponds to an era when organizations of multicultural have reshaped politics by condemning the expression of secular and religious segments of such positive culture. These were also years that the Islamic movement, to its enlarged extent, began shifting from periphery to city centers, with mass migration waves from rural to urban, and new opportunities of secular education and upward social mobilization. The Islamic movements were also get their share from this thorough movement. In that sense, 1990 is an era that Islam went economically, politically, and socially, and accepted as an important milestone for Islamic lifestyle and Islamic ideology to be known and seen in public space and also in political space. In this era, there occurred a dramatic rise of NGOs and also press of the Islamist group. And this affected not only the visibility but also reinforced the places of the Islamic people in the public space. However, in this era, a key great long has start from in education and public institutions taking the action, which victimizes only the women and disadvantages them to rise. With the ban on head start in university, the Islamic women were involved in too much figures that became activists in the public sphere and demanded their rights.
If you can complete in 1 minute, no, because actually time is limited, and we will go with another session.
Okay, that's...
Yeah, one more question. 3:30 we have another session.
Okay, then I am coming to this era, contemporary era in Turkey. As I mentioned, this is the transformation of neoliberal policies in Turkey, the African development part in Turkey today. Today, a new concept of citizen model is deployed, and Islam became a cultural condition of citizenship, not finding playing a crucial role in the development of citizens' relations with the state. Today, unlike the victimized and marginalized era, the state-mandated economic transformed neoliberalism, and this global consumption culture created a new societal consolidation and social ties, which turns the women into a consumers, and together with the victims of transparan, the women begin to be, finished at the second. They began to be educated in universities and have new jobs and prevalent in the market, and together with this policy, the new women now turned into eligible students by the application of new level policy. Thank you so much.
So much. If we can give a try, and before, if we have any question, please, you can ask Sister Isra if you want to more explanation from her. Anyone? If we can, Sister Isra, just I will give one comment, very simple comment. How can we try to conduct an empirical research with your area to let us to understand such modernized condition today and its impact and how it influences, for example, the life of women? It becomes very great because, as I told you, we have two systems in Turkey, and we understand the secular one, and how do we move with the Islamic one. So if we can share with such knowledge, it becomes very great for you, and we are very thankful to you for your presentation and your sharing with us. Salam to you and salam to our brothers and sisters in Turkey. Thank you so much. We will move to the last one. Thank you so much. And we will go for the last presenter, our respected prof, Jamie Pro, am I right? And unfortunately, he is not with us today because it's very late in USA, and he's the last presenter with us, and he will present to us something related to education toward ability of global citizenship, empowering students for a world of religious, gender, racial, civilizational difference. So let us to listen to our Prof. Jenny and his idea. He actually sent to us. Yeah, he sent to us his video because he's not available with us live. If you can play, please. Yeah, the video. Jimmy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is the video. Thank you. Yeah.
My name is Jamie Free, and I wish I could be with you.